Pick the Nintendo Shack and pray. Frederick from Fire Emblem Awakening says, yo.
Greetings, Kooplings, and welcome back to the Nintendo Shack. Now, this is not a normal episode of the Nintendo Shack podcast. As you saw in the title, this is a Shack review. As you know, we're off this week. We did 2 shows for you guys last week, and we are enjoying some time playing some games. But we hear PSVG Prime has you covered on some Nintendo news, so go check that out. But unfortunately, because we had the Direct, and then we had our illustrious show with One Pair Snyder from IGN, we haven't had a lot of time in the Nintendo Shack to talk about games we've playing. Primarily a huge release, a marquee, landmark release for the Nintendo Switch called Astral Chain, which I have beaten. Caroline is still hacking away at it. So I wanted to get some thoughts down, just kind of in the interim, just something a little tie you over, a little something. And I have invited one Kaiju from the Discord, Mr. Isaac, Super Shack listener, Discord community member, all that stuff. He's been hacking away at the Astral Chain, so I invited him to come sit and just talk to me about the game for a little bit. I have no idea. I have no script. I have no set schedule. This could go 10 minutes. It could go 40 hours. Probably won't go that long. But Kaiju, say hello.
Yeah, what's going on? I'm glad to finally be here. I'll have to say I don't think I quite live up to a pair Schneider, but I try. I try. So yeah,
you're the one following. We have more guests too, by the way. For those of you listening, we'll come back. We'll do Shack regularly next week. Then we've got a big Zelda game coming out, and we have another guest coming. So the September to remember keeps going for Nintendo Shack.
Awesome, and this is something I'm gonna remember. So there you go.
Fun stuff. All right, man. So we're here to talk about Astral Chain.
Yeah.
Have you beaten the game?
No, I have not completed Astral Chain. I haven't quite made my way to the end of the story. So no, I have not so far.
How far are you?
Do
you know what file you're on?
Yeah, I'm on 7.
Ooh, so nice. It's a good one to be on.
How close is that to the end?
You're about halfway.
Okay.
There's chapter. So there's 12 files.
All right.
But 11 in the main campaign. The 12th one is an extra prologue.
Got it.
So I have beaten the campaign. I have not collected all the things, and I did not beat the prologue because I kind of read what the prologue was. Chapter 12 is like some extra, it's like some cleanup stuff, some extra investigations, but it's primarily like challenges. You get like some big, stronger boss challenges to go back and fight, but there's no real like extra story really. So that's kind of, as you've heard on Shack before, I cut myself at the story, at least when it comes to campaigns. Like that's it. I reached the end of the game. I rolled credits. That's the end for me. I've actually already sold the game. Okay, so you're on chapter 7. What are your impressions so far? Only playing, the first half or so.
Okay, now my impressions are fairly all over the place. I'll just say that. But I'll start off by talking about the main mechanics of the game.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, when you're talking about a platinum game, that's what you're going to go to first. You're going to talk about the action. Yeah. That's what they're known for. That's what they do.
Exactly. So I've heard, at least, because this is actually my first platinum game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd never jumped into anything.
What an interesting one to jump into. Your first one is Astral Chain, because I'm going to interrupt you here for a minute.
No, go ahead.
Astral Chain is very different and unique from the standard platinum formula, if you will. It's got some Bayonetta and Devil May Cry in there. Devil May Cry being a Capcom game, but obviously a Kamiya game.
Yeah.
But it's very different. Like the investigations and like the way that they break up the pacing in this game is unlike any other platinum game I've ever played. And I don't think there's another one that exists. It's not like Nier or the Wonderful 101 or anything like that, but continue. Sorry.
No, I had a Wii U. Wii U was one of my favorite consoles, but I never dared to jump into Wonderful 101 or anything of the sort. I kind of had my go-to games on the Wii U and never branched out. So yeah, I was excited for this to be my first game from Platinum, and starting off immediately, as someone who comes from a background of liking complicated control schemes, I'd say this, for the average gamer, this is kind of, it takes some getting used to. So like my favorite game is Monster Hunter 3 for the Wii, and then there's a remake that's the main version I played on Wii U. And Monster Hunter is notorious for having just the most obnoxious control scheme in existence. And so I actually enjoy a good messy control scheme. And the thing about a game like this is these less like people that are not going to spend as much time with a game if they're immediately turned off by the control scheme. For people like me, getting used to that control scheme that feels messy or complicated at first, the payoff of finally understanding how it works is like the best high in a video game you can ever get. For me, at least. Like, when I finally understood, all right, here's how switching around through my different legions works, and here's how I can use it for my advantage, that was amazing. And the way that the files are set up, they've got like these different things when you hit a roadblock in a file where you're like, all right, what do I do next? I have no idea. They've got like where you're listening to people from far away with like the standard legion, or you're digging through the dirt with the beast. They've got these little things that you turn to. You're like, all right, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this, and I'm going to see what works. I'm going to see what comes of it. And then eventually you'll make progression through that. That mechanic really, I like games like that, because a lot of the games that I started playing when I was younger were things like Lego games. Like my first video game was the original Lego Star Wars for the PC. That's what I started off on. And so games where you're making yourself, or you're making your way through a linear path, and you'll hit roadblocks, and you have to try various things. Those kinds of games I really appreciate, and they have a special place in my heart. So the two coming together, a control scheme and mechanics and the fighting and the different weapon types coming together with the slow progression through these levels and talking to these people and listening in on people's conversations and getting other sides of things, and even the investigating part where going around and picking up different clues from talking to people, that all coming together really sells it for me. So those are my general impressions of the main mechanics of the game.
The dual stick combat is like nothing that we've ever really seen in a game that I'm aware of. Definitely not a Platinum game. So Platinum games, you've Bayonetta, even the old Devil May Cry games from Capcom, Wonderful 101, Nier, probably forgetting many, many more, but they're usually like combo heavy button smashers. You have a punch, kick, heavy attack, strong attack, light attack, and you chain them together and you create these incredible moves. And there's some of that here, but it's really more, if you think about it kind of like a shooter, everything is kind of on the triggers in terms of you're attacking. Mm-hmm. And then you're using the sticks in a very, now Tom Servo said this first, but I was saving it for when we actually talked about the game. If you ever played the Wonderful 101, it's so Wonderful 101. So when you played the Wonderful 101, you had not a chain, but a line of people. And you would use these gesture-based controls to do things. So you would draw a line and it would create a sword, or you would draw a circle and it would create a jello, or you would draw an L and it would create a gun. And Astral Chain kind of takes the exact same thing, except it applies it literally. So you literally have two characters in a chain, and instead of drawing the line, you are using both ends of the line to wrap around an enemy, or, build like a bridge and catch the enemy as they're moving and things like that. And it's very, very similar. All the while you're playing on the triggers, using special abilities, sync attacks, your own melee attacks to kind of add in stuff there. And then you add in the bumpers and the face buttons, and you can start really pulling off all kinds of crazy stuff. From an action game, it controls unlike anything else, which I would agree with you. I think a lot of people are going to have to take some time getting used to, but I wouldn't say it's hard. I don't think it's hard. I actually think you could probably just button mash your way through this thing. You could just hit the triggers a lot and kind of throw your legion at stuff and not do all the special stuff, probably put a significant dent through most of the game. You might have a little bit of trouble with the boss battles, where they really require you to do some of the special abilities and things like that. But I mean, the actual, minute to minute gameplay, you can do it. So it's one of the things I really appreciate about this game is that there's no difficulty levels. They really just kind of ramp up how much control and how much risk you have in the game. So the standard mode or the default mode, I believe, is casual in the difficulty. And basically that just lets you play the game with all the controls, but you have like 6 or 9 lives or something. You'll never die. You just got too many lives. You'll never have game over. Then there's the PT standard, which I guess is like the normal or like the harder mode, where it's the exact same thing, except you just have less lives to deal with. So like your risk of dying and reaching game over are more. Even though I played the game majoritively on PT standard, because that's what I picked in file 1, and I just kept going. I only changed off of it to kind of try it out, just to test what the other ones were like before I reached the end of the game. So the PT standard, like, even when I had my health all the way down, you have so many like first aid potions and things that you can use at all times. For you to actually die, I feel like would be difficult. Like, it's going to be really hard for you to do that. I think I may have died like one time.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. Now, I did try Unchained in chapter 9. No, not chapter 9. Chapter 9 is my favorite. Maybe chapter 8. I just tried Unchained while I was playing it. I wanted to play it. Did you ever try that?
No, I was actually going to ask you if you tried. I hadn't. My impression or what I read was that it's basically like a way to just experience the story.
It is, but I think that's misleading because it is easier. Don't get me wrong. It's easier. Like, if you have a kid or somebody that's interested in playing Astral Chain, that's what I would start them on. But also, if you're the type of person that, like, let's say they're the opposite of you. Like, they're hearing you say, I like complex control schemes and using all the buttons and everything. If that's turning somebody off, they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to learn a bunch. That's what that mode is for. So essentially Unchained is, especially having played the game, you'll understand this more than the folks that haven't played the game. When you play in Unchained mode, basically your Legion operates on its own. So it automatically attacks, it automatically flies around, it automatically comes out, it automatically changes, it automatically does all the puzzles while you, the character, run around and fight stuff with your melee stuff. So it actually kind of feels like you're just playing by yourself. It's just a single player action game. And your Legion is basically like a Pokemon. You throw it out there and it just does stuff. I wouldn't fault anybody for playing the game that way, because when I played it, I was like, it's not as fun as I like. I like pulling off some of the more, when I play Devil May Cry, for example, I just love pulling off awesome moves. Like, this is the only reason I'm there in these types of games. Bayonetta, I just want to pull off just incredible combos. I want to feel real powerful. I don't think you have that because your Legion is basically doing everything on its own. But it is super fun. There was a moment in time where I was like, this is actually kind of fun. Like, cause I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm just beating up folks. It feels like you're playing almost with a partner. Which I actually did play. I played a little co-op with Jack. Did you know you could play this game co-op?
I did, and I saw that you had to use split Joy-Cons, and I was like,
you do.
I was like,
and it works it's the same thing as the Unchained. He plays as the Legion, and I play as a character. Now that wasn't as fun because I'm because of my partner. I'm like, you've got to run around him. He's like, I'm trying. And I'm like, you're failing. We're dying because of you. If I had a competent player too, that actually could have been a lot of fun too. So I enjoyed that as well. But between the way that the combat works on the control side, as well as their approach to difficulty by changing, like your risk and the amount of things you're controlling the game, I got to give Astral Chain a lot of credit just for being different. If not like unique, it's just very new. In the world of video games, I don't feel like we have a whole lot of that. We have sequel after sequel, game after game. They all seem like they fall into like maybe the same, 10 different buckets. But if you've played one, like you've kind of played them all. If you've played Bayonetta, you know what Devil May Cry is. If you played Call of Duty, you know what the other shooters are. If you played Mario, you know what the other platformers are. Like, they all kind of fall in the same buckets. Astral Chain doesn't really fall into a bucket with anything else.
Yeah.
And that's probably like the most review type thing I could say about it is it's very different and it's very unique. And I don't think it's going to be for everybody. That's definitely that's something for a lot of different reasons, which we'll get into. I definitely don't think it's going to be for everybody, but if it is for you, I think you're going to love it just because you probably haven't played anything like it. I don't think it's going to, I don't think you'll be bored of it because you played another game just like it. I don't think that'll happen. So anyway, getting off of the combat a little bit, you talked about the detective work, which is, I knew it was going to be there. We talked about it leading up to launch in podcasts that we've had. I didn't expect there to be as much of it as there is. Like, the game is, dare I say, maybe like 65% investigative if you're doing a lot of it. Now, the good thing is it's optional. You don't have to do it all. You've got to do some, but the majority of it's probably optional. But up until all the way through chapter 9, I did every case. And then in like chapter 10, I think I skipped. Actually, no, chapter 1, I thought I did them all, but when I got to the end, I realized I missed like 1 or 2. And then once I missed 1 or 2, I quit trying. I was like, I'm done with it. But so if you're doing all of the cases, there's a lot of this stuff in there. And so the game has like Iris. You hit the start button and like you have this scanner that pops up. The entire world changes and you can see all the hidden things and the special items and special people. It's very like Batman. If you ever play like Arkham Asylum, Batman has a scanner. He can check for clues and things like that. It's very much like that, which is pretty cool because like the visual effect that they pull it off in, not only does it look cool, it looks really cool, especially when you're out there in that Japanese Times Square type area. Oh yeah,
that looks amazing.
Like it looks awesome when you pull up the Iris. So I like that, but all of the different, so there's just a lot of different like quests, and they're all like fetch quests. They're all these like little side quests. You either gotta go find the person, or go find the key code, or go find the item, or do like a little trade sequence, go get something for someone else. Go get this little girl an ice cream cone, like this type of stuff. I think this is probably the most divisive part of the game, because I think people are either going to really enjoy this, and I think I really enjoyed it. Like I said, all the way up through chapter 9, I think I had done them all. So I was really kind of into it and having a lot of fun. But I think other folks that are, especially with it having a platinum logo, on the box, I think a lot of platinum fans are going to be like, what is this? I don't want to, find this kid's soccer ball and all this. Like, I want to go beat up stuff. I want to go, smash buttons. And it's weird because I think the pacing overall, the entire game is really, really good. But I think the pacing compared to other platinum games is just so different and weird, because you'll have this epic fight where you go through all this crazy space sci-fi Tron stuff. And then it's like, go help so-and-so find his mom. And you're just like walking around checking for people like, hey, are you this kid's mom? Are you this kid? Anybody lose a kid? And it's just super weird, which I think is fun. I like it, but I'm not exactly sure how everybody would feel. Like this is probably the biggest reason why I don't feel like Astral Chain is for everybody, because I think a lot of the enjoyment out of this game would be that part of it. And I don't think if you're the type of person listening to this, like, oh, it sounds boring, and Astral Chain might not be for you.
Yeah. Going back to the Times Square part, to preface what I'm about to say, when I saw the Treehouse from E3 2019 footage of this game, them doing the haunted dumpster case, I was misled. Like, I was extremely misled, because maybe I'm not observant when it comes to video games, but I was under the impression that like portions of this game were going to be pretty open world. Like, the way that the beginning of that demo started was they go down into the garage, they get on the motorcycle, and they pop over to the Times Square part. And I was like, okay, so you're gonna have your garage, you're gonna go on these story missions, and then you're gonna go jump on a motorcycle and go run around in a city and do quests for people. So that's what I thought the game was. I actually kind of once I realized, all right, I'm gonna buy this game, I stopped paying attention to the news. I stopped paying attention to things that were popping up, because I wanted to go in fresh. So I went into the game. I was like, okay, cool. Gonna do the story file. When I'm doing story mode, when I'm going on an open world game, I'm doing a story thing. Those side quests, they're on the back burner for me. I don't care at all. So I started this game, maybe got through file 3 or 4, and I blew past every case. Like, I didn't do a single one other than the ones they wanted me to do. And I was like, okay, I'll go back and do those later, which I know you can replay files and redo the cases. But I was like, okay, when am I going to get to the part where the city is opened up and I can go around and do quests for people.
I gotcha. Yeah, that would be an impression that, yeah, if that's what your expectation was, yeah, you'd be a little let down. I think the areas are fairly open for games like it, like especially in. So I said Times Square because that's like our immediate thought here in America. But as I said that, I also think I heard Caroline like cringing her teeth. So like, I guess the Japanese version would be like Shibuya or something like that. Like before she like yells at us and tells us all of the Japanese culture that we're leaving out. So I just wanted to get that in there. But, especially that section of the game is fairly open. And I think one of my favorite parts about these little investigative, interludes or intermissions between combat chapters is, yeah, you've got your cases and you've got some that you have to do. So like every chapter has, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5, something like that. You got to do them. But then there's probably, in most cases, like 15 or 20 that are optional. There's a lot. And as you do them, one of the things that I absolutely love about the game, and I think this is the reason why I enjoy doing this part of it, there are so many hidden things that if you're just looking at it at face value, you'll be like, oh, it's this little area to run around in. But there are hallways and alleys and streets, and you can go under porches or through vents or rooftops, so you can shoot down ladders, you can scale up and scale down and go wide. There's all these little nooks and crannies. And just even finding them is a puzzle in itself. And the reward is you get like some special bonus or some special buff, or you'll find a cat or a toilet and all these different collectibles that you can find. I know Caroline's trying to find all the cats because of course she is. I think I found 5 or 6 cats. I didn't try to find them all, but I found a few of them. Some of them are like the first one is just right there in front of you. And then a few other ones are pretty out in the open. You just kind of I just kind of stumbled upon them. I didn't go out of my way to find any is what I'm trying to say. I didn't like look it up and try to find any. So I found 4 or 5 of them just messing around. But like the puzzling and like the level design, cause that's really what it is. Cause everything is, so like you can use your Legion to go across like a space. So if you need to jump across, a space, a cavern, something in the air, from building to building or across a bridge or something like that, you can do it using your Legion. You send your Legion over and he pulls you over on the chain. But you can only do that like on the same level. So he can only go off the floor that you're on. So it kind of brings up this whole 1-to-1 type of puzzle design as the world builds up. And some of these levels are incredibly deep with where they hide submissions and things like that. And that's the kind of stuff that I will and I did with this game. That's the type of stuff that I will get lost doing. Cause I'll just sit there for an hour trying to find like this last checkpoint.
Oh yeah.
I am in no rush to go anywhere. I'm like, I know there's another case here. I see it, in my charts. I have 17 of 18 and I'm just going to sit here and go walk around and talk to everybody and do all the things, until I find it. And a lot of them I had a lot of fun with. Now, not all of them. Some of them I did not like as much. Like there are mandatory missions where you have to walk people out of an area of danger. They are slow and they are boring. You just basically go find this person and they prop up on you and you walk them off. And you slowly walk out of the building. And maybe you'll get attacked while you're doing it and you can't fight because you've got this person. So you've got to throw your Legion at them. That was not as fun. None of the tailing or like stealth missions I thought were very fun, especially considering how much fun the combat was. It's just like, this isn't as fun. It's not awful. It's not bad. If you like stealth, you'll like it. I don't. I notoriously don't like stealth games. So I'm probably a little harder on that than other people might be. But I mean, it's definitely not as good as blowing up tons of Chimera. So it's like, why didn't I just get to do that more? Like, let's just do more of that. So, but the investigative stuff with all the collectibles and all the side menus and the stories, are really, really good. And it really kind of adds a lot of charm and opens up the story of the game, or at least just like the feeling of the cities, having like people and doing stuff and like real life. Cause you're a cop. That was one of the things we didn't talk about. You're the part of this cop, this neuron. Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
Neuron? Yeah. This neuron cop force. So you're doing cop stuff. And you're finding little kids and returning people's money and dumb stuff like that. Picking up trash, throwing away. I know our cops don't do that, but Did you throw away cans? Did you clean up the town?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you gotta do
dude,
that.
like
Super
goofy
fun.
stuff like that this game has brought forth is I love that. Like,
did you do the ice cream? The little motion control mini game where you got to balance the ice cream?
No, I didn't. I did not. Is that part of the quest for the little girl? The ice cream quest?
There are a couple of them, and yes, that's one of them. She's hanging on the bridge, and you got to go into the middle of the section. That means you got to cross the street. You got to walk up the stairs, and of course, as soon as you walk up the stairs, people come flying down the stairs at you. You got to like dodge them, and the whole thing is you got to balance your Joy-Con. So you know you don't lose all these scoops of ice cream. I got up there with 3 scoops left. I think you start with some obscene amount. It's like a 7 scoop ice cream. It's ridiculous. It's like 5 feet. It's taller than your character. And I think I got up there with like 3 left, but that's super fun. It's just, I don't know if the Carolina, she might call it derpy. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but I mean it's just super like dumb but funny.
Oh yeah,
and you know, just throwaway type stuff that's really hilarious. And it's good. It's good. It's like like I said, it's a change of pace. And considering that you have this super cool control scheme, all these giant boss battles and combat, plus all of this on top of it, like this whole Arkham investigative clue searching, hunting, police, detective work game, it makes for a total package that, again, I don't think we've quite seen from other games before.
Yeah, and that little how stupid the game can be sometimes really adds charm to it. I think it reminds me a lot of the way that especially Xenoblade 2 is, where you got Tora the no pawn. He's just kind of an idiot the whole time.
Yeah,
and it really balances out the. I mean, that game gets pretty serious and intense, and really balances it out. So I think that kind of thing in games is awesome, and even trying out that Daemon X Machina demo, the new one that they just dropped, it's got that in there as well. Like, and it's ice cream related too. There's this place called the Ice Cream Parlor, and it's just this bright, stupid thing that's completely different from the rest of the game, where you get buffs. So, I actually had a question for you from something you said earlier about the stealth parts.
Yeah.
So, did you complete the stealth part? Like, you went all the way through stealth?
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't.
Oh, so you decided to just wreck shit.
And you can literally go through and you kill everybody.
Yep.
It's awesome. Like, I love how you can play the way that you want to. And I think that the stealth part kind of had to be in there, because this game, from what I've gathered, really seems like just a big mesh of a lot of the different games that they've worked on over the years. So you got to have the...
It's funny you say that. I did write down some notes, and the one note that I had as like a takeaway, and I said this to Tom Servo, I think in the Fluxpost Discord, we're talking about is, there seems to be a ton of DNA from other games and other movies and other things in this thing. And I wrote down like 13.
Wow.
I've got like 13 games or movies or anime that I just pick up serious vibes off of throughout the game. So obviously, as you mentioned, all the Platinum games, there's a little bit of Devil May Cry, there's a little bit of Bayonetta, there's a lot of Nier. Especially when you get into like the sepia tone, like facilities, the ending, when you're following around the drone. So like one of the things Caroline's been saying on her Let's Plays is, as you just mentioned, she says it reminds her of Xenoblade with the blade. While I understand why she would say that, I think it's more appropriate to say Nier. Because when you're playing Nier, you're followed by this little drone all the time, that can do stuff for you like automatically. But the control that you have over the Legion, I think, is vastly different. You know, it's just vastly different than Xenoblade. But so all of those games, but then the wonderful one, like I mentioned, Batman. But then there are times, especially when it gets weird, you know, these weird missions and like the weird story moments where you start to pick up like Metal Gear and Resident Evil vibes. And especially like some of the camera shots, like the stealth mission that I played towards the end, serious Metal Gear vibes, like Metal Gear Solid. It's just like, this is a Metal Gear game. Like, that's what we're doing right now. You've got the people with their vision cones and everything. And you got to go walk through and you got to scan. And, you know, like the only thing that was missing was a cardboard box. And when you're in the astral plane, you know, so like you go through these portals, you fight all these monsters, these chimeras in this entirely like Tron otherworld type space where all these geometric shapes are ever spawning and all this, and it has a totally different look. It's not like the real world. When you're over there in the astral plane, the platforming and the level design to find like all the chests and to beat the boss and to, you know, get all the buttons and to raise and lower all the platforms, serious kind of like Zelda Darksiders type stuff. There's some of that in there. And then like you wrap all that up. I know you're not there yet. You say you're in chapter 7?
Yeah.
So like 8 and 9 are probably my favorite 2 files in the game. So like you're right right there to where I was like, this game is getting awesome. There's crazy Godzilla Dragon Ball Z stuff.
Oh, nice.
Like in there. There's some stuff in there. And towards the end, I was even picking up like some Terminator stuff. It really feels like the writing in this game just kind of took a lot of tropes from all these different sci-fi things and all these different gameplay mechanics, and they just did this huge mashup, and they made it look really pretty. And that's what we got. We got Astral Chain, and it oozes cool.
Yeah.
Like, it just bleeds awesome. It's so good in that regard.
And I think it even has a little bit of Monster Hunter World in it. I know we never got that game on the Switch. That might be bold to say because Monster Hunter World, you're not tied to anybody. You're fighting giant monsters, which is similar. But honestly, the way not necessarily it controls, but the movement, like the way that things move, the way that your character like kind of flows through,
like how they kind of slide around.
Like it feels like Monster Hunter World so much. And even the way that you're talking about how these maps may look small, but they've got multiple layers. Like that's exactly how the maps on Monster Hunter World are. You got your lower level where certain kinds of monsters are. You got your higher level where the more bird ones are like. It's exactly like that. You see these maps. All right, this is an open world game, but you find these tiny nooks and crannies where there are weird things. And so I get a lot of Monster Hunter World vibes coming from this game. And one thing that specifically stands out is in Monster Hunter, none of the characters have actual names. They're just named after what they're like. And I know a lot of video games have used that. But I love that in this game. It's like you walk past a guy and this guy's name is Drunk. That's what his character's called. And I love that. That thing, like seeing some of these names just makes me burst out laughing, like actually. So little things like that in the game really stand out to me. And those are the kinds of things that I just appreciate. Like one guy in the office was like, let's put this in there. And everybody might have thought it was stupid, but the fact that he put it in there made my day. So...
Did you do the mission in that chapter where you're at the Times Square place where you tailed like the bandit into like the alley and like there's like the super cop who comes out of there and he's like, "We've got to save the world."
No.
It's so dumb. You're like, "Oh my god." There's really good, and like everything that Lappy does is like super dumb, and so all of that stuff is great. There are some great character work in this game. Unfortunately, the story basically is like this. Did you pick the girl or the boy?
Oh boy.
Okay, so I'm playing as girl. So your sister, my brother, they're like the star of the show. Like the story really revolves around them, and you're about to understand all why as you finish the next 3 chapters.
Yeah,
it really starts to come to a head at the end. It's all about your whiny sibling. It's not really about you. Like you're kind of like an accessory. You've got to stop all the stuff about your whiny sibling.
Great.
But you've got some great characters. You've got, your dad was Max and, the love interest, the other neuron officer. You've got, was it Jen, Alicia? What are the other ones? Olive.
Yeah, Olive.
I'm not sure which one. I think Alicia was the one. Was she like the love interest? You got that far, right? You've been there?
I'm
maybe not
sure, actually.
Hopefully I didn't spoil it.
No, okay, I don't care at all.
Well, it's not really a spoiler, but she has a thing for Max. She has a thing for like the dad.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's just a cutscene, right? So if you haven't played the game, like I'm not spoiling much for you. It's like 5 seconds. It's not like really a part of the big game. So, but it is like those cutscenes provide a lot of character to her because you've been talking to her for all these files leading up to the point, and things start to fall in place. But ultimately, like the entire story is basically mad scientist story.
Okay.
Mad scientist goes crazy, does some crazy Metal Gear type stuff.
Yeah.
Especially at the end, you're about to find out. You don't know yet, but you're about to find out. The Ravens, by the way, are some crazy Metal Gear type stuff, and the Ravens look awesome. The Ravens is a sweet design. I love those. I love their Legion, by the way. But without spoiling all that, and Kyle, Caroline found today. Kyle, the character you come across.
My favorite character.
Yeah, he's really. It's hard not to like him. He's the wrench. Like he's just super cool looking. So it's hard not to, come away liking him a lot. So, but the story is just like mad scientists, gone mad, gone crazy, and you got to go save the world. It does have a really good ending. So when you do reach the end, I want to know like how you chose to end it, how Caroline chose it, because you have a choice.
Oh.
I won't tell you the outcomes of the choice, but there's a choice to make. And, it's just really, really good. I really enjoy it. And, The last thing I want to talk about the game is I want to talk about the way it looks.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously.
I'm a very visual person, so this
this game is. There were moments when I started playing this game because it took me a minute. I think it took me maybe until File 3 before I was like, okay, now I'm hooked and I'm bought into it. Because at first I was like, I don't know, but the more and more I play it, especially when combat really gets going, one of my favorite. I think it's when you start fighting like the huge platinum type bosses. Because you have a couple of them. Like there's some of the Chimera, you're like, oh man, like he's pretty bad, dude. But here's the thing. You haven't fought like a platinum boss yet. That didn't happen until File 9.
Okay.
File 9 is when this game gets platinum. That's when you start going up the side of buildings and start fighting like on falling platforms and jumping from one to the other for this gigantic monster that takes up the entire screen.
I'm ready for that.
So you've got a few of those to come down the road. And like the Humunculus, which is like File 7, right? Right?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it yet, so.
Okay, so I think it might be 8. So it might start at 8. At 8, you start getting like this crazy, really crazy, huge stuff. But when you start doing that and you start fighting these huge monsters, I'm going to get back to the visuals, but I need to make a tangent here because I want to say this. My favorite thing to do in this game, when you're fighting these big monsters or anything that flies, is you throw your Legion at it. I call it slingshotting. I don't know what they call it. You throw your Legion at it. It zips out there. Now, you know, if you hold down your Legion button and then you hit the other button, it'll pull you too. Yeah. So it'll launch you up into the air.
Oh, wow.
And then you throw it again, and you can basically slingshot around this giant dude while both of you just start, smashing some attack buttons. It never got old. Or at least for me. It never got old for me. I look to do it whenever possible. It's better than the synchronized attacks for me. I was like, this is freaking awesome. And that's where you start to see why the chain changes everything. The chain, like, cause if you are, I would use Tom Servo. If you're somebody that really takes the time to learn all these advanced techniques and controls and things that you can do, this game is limitless. You can really get nuts with it because of that chain. Yeah. Because of what you can do with the chain, it's unlike anything else. But back to the visuals. Man, opening up on that motorcycle scene and screaming down that wet pavement, underground tunnel and that truck that flies by, like those Dark Knight references, but just the neon Tron way that it looks, the cell shaded style. There are multiple moments as I started playing this game where I was like, is this a Switch game? This game looks so much better than it has any business being. And if you watch the Digital Foundry video, they break it all down.
Oh, I'll have to go watch
and essentially,
that.
Yeah. The summary from that is that it's all basic design, basic shapes, basic textures. Like nothing is like too extravagant to like where the Switch couldn't push it. But because of the style with like the anime, the cell shading style, and then how they use like cutscenes during the action, is it plays so smoothly that like your eyes apparently don't have like a whole lot of time to adjust to just how simple everything is. Plus they use like a lot of hard edge lines, especially like when you're in the astral plane. Like you've got all those like sketch lines on the ground and everything as you walk around. It just gives everything like this very well thought out, like polished look. Like they spent a lot of time on all this. Even if it's simple, it looks like it, like a lot of time has been done. There's a lot of detail. It's very elaborate. There's a lot of things going on. It just looks amazing. And I dare say it might be the best looking portable game on the Switch. When you play it in handheld, I mean, I thought Mario Kart was probably it until this point, because Mario Kart just looks amazing in handheld. Like, it still looks great. This game, for the open areas that it has, for the combat action that it has, for everything that's going on in all in detail, the portable experience is every bit as good as the docked experience. Like, there's nothing lost. Digital Foundry said that they drop anti-aliasing. That's what they drop when you go down to portable. But because the screen's so small, like, it's hard to even notice. And I never did until I watched the Digital Foundry video. I couldn't have told you any different, because I was playing handheld. I was like, this looks incredible. It's, in a lot of ways, this is kind of like my comeuppance, because I keep wanting all these big games to come to Switch, and then I keep chastising them for not being able to hold up. And Platinum has really taken a page to show everybody else what can be done when you take when you build for the Switch. Now, that it can't be said all the time. Nintendo published this, but we saw the reviews. I think it's it's obviously apparent that they have a hit on their hands. So I hope that we have a franchise coming. I think we will.
Oh, really?
And I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo has already greenlit, Astral Chain, the sequel, if not a trilogy, because, man, it's really, really good. And the visual aspect of this game and all of it's different. That's another thing that I love about it. The differences in the visuals from level to level. The only thing that's really the same is the astral plane, which you do in every file. But every file you go from, like grungy facility out to the Times Square area into the science building or the facility, back to the headquarters. They all look vastly different. And I think it really, really makes the game. It gives the whole boost. It's like by the time you get tired of an area, by the time you get tired of an enemy, by the time you get tired of using another legion, you have a new one coming up. You have a new area, you have a new enemy, you have a new story beat, you have a new legion. You've got all new things to do. And I think all of that together, that's what helps the pacing of this game. So I fell in love with this game. I just played it. This is one of those games that once I got hooked, I just didn't stop playing it. I beat this game in like 4 days.
Oh, wow.
Because I played it all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I was like, I'm just going to keep playing this game until it's over. And that's special for me. I don't get a whole lot of games that do that for me. And I think that pacing is what did it.
Yeah.
The fact that there was always something new, there was always something. And then at the end, after you get your final Legion, you're like, all right, I kind of seen everything this game has. Then they hit you with some incredible boss battles and you just got to keep going. You just got to finish it. And, I really, really appreciate that about it, but sorry to hog the mic the whole time. I'm just
dude. I understand how it is. So for the visuals, for me, I don't think I have ever seen a Switch game that looks this good. I think that it might be my favorite looking Switch game, and that's bold to say.
It's got to be up there.
I mean, Breath of the Wild is a Wii U game. It's not a Switch game to me. It's
a Switch game, and even that, and it looks great.
Yeah,
but it doesn't look this good in handheld.
And it's not
even close.
I'm hoping that the new one possibly might have a newer or updated graphics engine and it's going to look much better. But anyway, back to Astral Chain. When I first started playing this game and we saw all the E3 coverage, all these trailers that were dropping, it was always, if not always, set at night. And I was afraid, all right, like any newer movie or game franchise that doesn't have a very high budget, they're going to put a lot of scenes at night so they don't have to worry about the visuals for daytime, because daytime visuals are complicated. Like, you'd be surprised how complicated clouds are. So I was like, okay, this game's going to look amazing, but we're going to have a lot of night. And the chapter that I'm about to beat, I might actually be on file 6. I might be wrong. I thought I was on 7. But I'm on top of these rooftops. And it's daytime. And I'm looking out on the city. And I'm like, how could they have not put more daytime into this game? It looks just as good, if not better.
Well, it's all cyberpunk. You need the wet ground. You need the night. You need the neon. You need the reflections.
It looks so good. Like I don't even know how to put it into words. And I think the reason is like with these ports from other third-party developers, these AAAs coming over to Switch, they've got to downgrade them. The graphics weren't made to run on the Switch.
Yeah.
And these Nintendo first parties, I mean, Mario has his style, his graphical style, and they're not going to turn Mario into an Astral Chain graphical style. That's just not what they're going to do. They're going to stick to what people know. They're going to stick to what their artists know.
Yeah, but as you say that, I kind of want to play a platinum-made Mario game. It sounds amazing.
A rated M Mario game? M for Mario?
I'm just saying, let's give Kamiya Mario and let's see what he does with it. It sounds awesome.
I mean, I would play it. So the game though, the graphics were specifically made for the Switch. We know about the review bombing about how this is an exclusive, and they took advantage of this. All right, we're making a Switch exclusive. We're gonna knock it out of the park, and they just went all out with these graphics. They pushed through with something that I think is very special. When I first saw that initial trailer, I thought it was Xenoblade Chronicles X, so I was actually disappointed initially with it. I was like, yes, Xenoblade Chronicles X2. And they were like, Astral Chain, out August 30th. And I was like, oh, all right, I won't buy that. I don't have money. And so then I saw the E3 footage, and I was like, okay, this gameplay looks amazing. The visuals are what I loved of Xenoblade Chronicles X, but more cyberpunk and more robotic.
Did you know that this was originally intended to be a fantasy game?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so the when Platinum pitched the game, it was intended to be. They're doing all these tweets like behind the scenes why they made all these decisions, and they pitched the game to Nintendo as like a fantasy game, like wizards and magic and stuff. And Nintendo was the ones that told them to go the cyberpunk route because they thought it'd be a better fit for the style in the Switch. And obviously, there's a trend right now of cyberpunk and all this cool stuff coming out. So that was actually Nintendo's call. They said you should adopt this style. And I would like to see like art of what it was supposed to be, but I can't imagine it was better than this because whatever it is, like whatever the technical term for it is, when it all blends together and it hits that Switch, it looks fabulous. I mean, it looks incredible. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And if Nintendo can tell Platinum can make a game like this and it be awesome and it be under Nintendo's publishing title, I just want to see what other AAAs can do coming onto Switch and start making some Nintendo published first party games, because I mean, Platinum is a huge company, and the fact that we got an exclusive on the Switch from them, I mean, they've been kind of, I guess, buddy for a little bit now, but the fact
with Bayo.
Oh yeah, definitely, exactly. So I just want to see more developers start getting close up to Nintendo. Like what if we see a Bethesda game specifically designed for the Switch? I mean, those games somehow look decent on the Switch. At least they're trying to push them.
The ports are, those are some of the better ports. I mean, I don't think that would ever happen, but I mean, who knows? The Switch is selling well. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, one can dream.
One of the things that I want to bring up, because Kevin usually says a lot, and I actually think he's true. I think he's been proven right. He says a lot of times he feels like Platinum is a hit and miss. Like sometimes they hit, they have like a Bayonetta, and sometimes they miss. They have a 1. And especially for him, I know for him, he's hit and miss with their games. Even, like inside the games, like Bayonetta 2, but not as much as 1, or Devil May Cry 2, but not as much as 1. Astral Chain's a hit. I definitely they definitely hit something here, and I think it's I'd be shocked if it wasn't a franchise. I mean, I'd be shocked if they didn't do a follow up to it. So they're probably already looking at that now. So, but anyway, we're almost 50 minutes. It's supposed to be like a 20-minute. Like we told them we weren't giving them a podcast. It's basically an entire show.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry.
On one game. So no, you're fine. It's me. I'm the one talking too much. But I'll say one last thing. The music is freaking incredible. The last chapter has some music. Serious Castlevania vibes.
Oh, dude, man.
Yeah, it's so good.
Look, I'll tell you before we wrap up. Where I'm at now, I've started to burn out. I guess it's kind of like that middle of the game starting to get a little bit slow, and then it's going to pick up with the end of the story.
Yeah, you just need to get on to chapter 8. Just get on. Like either go Unchained or start skipping some side stuff and get on to chapter 8 and 9. You'll be right back in. I'm telling you, you fight this gigantic angel that like comes down, like you're gonna change you were like, holy crap.
Well, dude, you got me excited, man. I mean, this game was it got me hyped when I set aside. I asked off work to play this game. I got all my homework for college done ahead of time, and I was like, all right, Friday's gonna be the day we rent. I got mine digitally because of the vouchers. Got my friend over. We went over to GameStop, picked up his copy, and we just sat in my room for 6 to 10 hours just playing the game.
Nice.
And I mean, I'm gonna look back on this game with fond memories just from that day
That's
one.
Fun.
So.
It's good, and I think it ramps up well. I think the entire thing builds up at a really nice pace, and I think it ends on a really cool pace. The story is, I don't want to call it throwaway. I think it's actually a pretty good written story, especially if you take in like character discussions. The character banter back and forth is pretty good, but the whole whiny sibling thing, I'm not a huge fan of. Like the family tie-in is like, and then the ending is kind of like, whatever. But everything that you do to get there makes up for it. It's really, really good. To wrap up, I'd call it a must-buy if you're a Switch owner, but then at the same time, I don't think it's for everybody.
Yeah.
If you've ever played a Bayonetta or a Devil May Cry, or even like I would even say a Metal Gear, even though they're different games, but if you were ever turned off by like that style or that type of story, or that type of writing or that type of combat, probably not for you. But if you've ever liked any of those games, or you like if you like Nier Automata, by the way, like absolutely get this game, because I think you'll love it, and I think it's a big hit for the Switch, and I think it's Really, really good. I mean, I won't go as far as like giving a review score or anything like that. I don't think that matters, but I just think it's a landmark title. As we already said, I mean, it looks amazing. The sound design is fantastic. It's a lot of content. I think I finished, I sold it. I have to go check my play file, but 25, 30 hours, something like that. By the time I finished it. So there's good game.
And
here.
it proves that Nintendo can do new IPs. Like with Splatoon, it hit it way out of the park. I mean, that's a great. I mean, we got a second game. It's a franchise now.
Yep.
And so it's. I mean, Mario's got his thing going. Link's got his thing going. But these new IPs. I mean, they're up there.
So Platinum and Nintendo have a really tight. I mean, I almost want to call it a second party partnership because I mean that's basically their affiliation now. So it's not like who makes Spider-Man? I'm forgetting the name. The folks they just bought, Insomniac.
Yeah.
It's not like that with Sony, where like they basically have like these one-off games that they do exclusively. Like Nintendo has published Bayonetta. They basically own Bayonetta now, like the franchise. It's like, but it's not like obviously it's Platinum's franchise, but it's like Pokemon, right? It's like Game Freak. It's exclusive to Nintendo. You might as well say they own it. I imagine that's what we're going to see with Astral Chain. And essentially, it's like a very close, almost second-party relationship where, they'll do other games, right? They have not Devil May Cry, it's Capcom, but they'll do other games for other systems, probably. I'm sure they'll show up and there'll be a Platinum game somewhere else. But Bayonetta and Astral Chain will probably be on a 3 or 4 year cycle where they drop on Nintendo's console, until further notice. Probably a Bayonetta 3 next year, or maybe early 2021. And then maybe a year or two after that, we see and get the next Astral Chain, and next one you get Bayonetta 4, and then you get the next Astral Chain. It seems to be maybe that's where they're going with this, and I really like that they put this game out there. That like Bayonetta didn't kill it, that they went quiet on Bayonetta, they didn't show anything from Bayonetta, so they could give this game all the look, because it's hard establishing and launching a new IP. I mean, we're even seeing now like Astral Chain is not selling, like hotcakes like so many of these other Switch games, not blowing away the charts. It's a brand new game. It's a new IP. It's got this anime style, and it's not for everybody. So, I'm not like surprised by that, but I think it's good that if they had shown Bayonetta E3 or they had shown it in the Direct, it might have hurt this game. Because people would be like, I don't want to play the game. I'll just wait for Bayonetta. Mm-hmm. But because they gave it so much focus, and it's reviewed so well and there's so much good talk about it, maybe more people are apt to try it now that we know that Bayonetta, I don't even know if we'll see it at the Game Awards. Like, it could be a while. So,
yeah. Anyway.
Let's get out of here. That's an hour we did on Astral Chain. Like I said, we didn't know how long it was going to be, but it's almost an hour. So, guys, I hope you liked it. I love it. It's a great game. Try to give you some sort of scale. I think it's easily a top 15 Nintendo Switch game for me. How about that? That's easy. Probably a top 10, but I'll go easy top 15. If I was trying to come up with a top 15 list in Switch, Astral Chain is right up there. So if you're wondering kind of where I think it fits in the grand scale of Nintendo Switch, that's where I'd put it. It's definitely a top shelf, top-notch game. You should play it. You should try it.
Yeah, I think for me, definitely top 15. And overall, I think it's a good introduction to this company that's well loved throughout the gaming universe that I haven't really dipped my toes into yet. So I'm glad to finally get in with a Platinum game. And if we don't see any ports for like Wonderful 101 or anything, I'm gonna have to go back and grab a copy of that for my Wii U.
No, you don't.
Okay.
Don't play that game.
Is it?
I'm such a Wonderful 101 hater. I don't like that game at all. I wish that game would die and go away. I was so excited for it. Love the style, hate the execution. Just really don't like that game.
All right.
And you know how much I love the Wii U. Like if there was a reason to love it, I would be the person to love it, and I just don't. And I don't understand why people do. But you know what? I say that if they took away the motion stuff and they like just let me button mash my way through it, I'd be more apt to play it. I think it'd be better. All the motion touchscreen gimmicks made that game worse. There's too much of it. Just they went too far with it. All right, so we're going to get out of here. Like I said, we have Caroline come back. We have Zelda launching. We have another guest coming. Caroline will follow up this discussion with her own thoughts on Astral Chain. Hopefully she's beating it by next week. I think she will. It's on file 7 or something like that. She's almost there. She's actually right there with you, I think. I think she's doing 6 today. So you guys are lock and step together. And we will see you next week in the Nintendo Shack. So I want to thank you, Kaiju.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for dropping by the Shack, man. And you have your own podcast. Let me go ahead and let you give yourself a little plug.
Yeah, I do have my own podcast. We started up fairly recently, as of April. It's called the Nintendo Bros Podcast, and in between Nintendo and Bros, there's a dash, so Nintendo ending on D, dash Bros. Not to be confused with a Nintendo Bros Podcast without a dash, which is a Smash Bros cast.
Oh, man. Are you serious?
Yeah.
You got to change the name. This is too much. You got to change the name.
I mean, we're on Spotify, so we're up there. This is like an Anchor exclusive.
Yeah, but
show.
that's too much. There's too much communication. Like, people can't remember all that. You got to change the name.
All right, look up the Kaiju Podcast. No, wait, not.
At least, like, set up a redirect and just send them there.
Oh.
Like, call it kaijuspodcast.com and just have it send them to your actual thing.
Well, I mean, we're the only Nintendo Bros podcast with an Instagram, so if you want to reach us there, you can click our link and go to our Discord from there.
Ooh, listen to the snobbiest. He's like, psh, we're on Spotify, we have Instagram. I don't know who these other imposters are. That's good stuff.
Yeah, Jeff, definitely check us out. We took a break for summer because work got pretty heavy, but we're back. We just did
I should have mentioned you're super young compared to the rest of the PSVG folks. I mean, you're in high school and college and all that stuff. So
I'm a child. But yeah, we're back. We just did a Breath of the Wild 2 Hopes and Dreams episode. We're about to record again tomorrow night, so check us out. We're fun. And if you like my stupid banter in the PSVG Discord, check out our Discord. It's full of people like me.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you for joining me on the show. And that'll do it for our Scoopalings. We will see you back next week with the show proper. Good night.
Night.